All right, this is where you get the good news you can use. I don't know if today I will be bringing you good news, but we're going to bring you news you can use as you continue on your employment journey, if you have one. And
Mhm.
today it gives me great pleasure to bring to the Boomer Beat Delmar Johnson, who is the HR expert, and I know her as the HR whisperer on TikTok. I love it. And Delmar has a new book out called HR is Sexy. I love that too. HR is sexy. And I really got to know what that all means. But first of all, let me welcome you to the Boomer Beat. And how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Beverly. It's great to see you after so long,
I know.
from leaving North Carolina years ago. So I'm so happy to be among the Boomer Beat um audience.
And it's
And
amazing because who knew we would come back full circle? I
yep,
mean, you were just someone I was networking with like
yep.
years ago, and now here we are reunited again. It is awesome. Okay, so let's just jump right into it
Okay.
because, as we all know, the pandemic has shifted everybody's life.
Yes.
So, 2 years ago, I had a full time job.
Hmm.
I don't have that job anymore because of the pandemic.
Hmm.
And that happens to be the case with a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean like literally millions of
Yes.
people. The
Yep.
pandemic has shifted our jobs. And in addition to that, people in my generation and beyond
Hmm.
are leaving the workforce, not necessarily by choice. And
Hmm.
millennials don't want our jobs.
No.
So, as the HR expert, what do you say needs to be done in order to kind of get everything back to some sense of business as usual when it comes
Okay.
to employees and employers?
Well, I will tell you, Beverly, and I'm glad you said that last statement too. Some sense of normalcy or some sense of business as usual. Well, that actually doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So once we come into the reality that that business as usual, I put air quotes, that business as usual or normal does not exist anymore. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That means these last 2 years uncovered some things that people had to face that they were doing or not doing that promoted and provoked an engaging employer employee relationship that would have been more positive, higher productivity, people not leaving as quickly as they are now. So I believe this 2 years, although it's been rough for many people on many, all ends of the spectrum, it also enlightened a lot of companies about where they were falling short when it came to the employer and employee relationship, the environment that they had created, their business culture, which I'll talk about a lot about what is your business culture looking like now, 2 years post COVID-19 announcements. What have you done in the midst of that? And a lot of companies have made a lot of changes, big and small, have made a lot of changes out there, but there's still yet more changes that must be done in order to even attract the next generation of employees. Because the generation you was talking about, millennials are 40 years old now. So let's talk about these
Yeah,
generation
generation Z,
Z's,
right?
okay? Because millennials are 40 years old now. It's like, but even they, still have a lot of life to live and, work experience to experience and all those kind of things. But these Generation Z, I've lost the number. I mean, the letter we're on now. It was Generation Y, Millennial, Generation Z, and then I don't know what's going on now. What they call themselves now. But there is a huge difference between the baby boomers that are leaving by choice or by force, okay, going out. And then you see, I'm part of Generation X, so we're still hanging in there, but we're slowly moving to that retirement age too, quote unquote, that retirement age from regular work, if you will, because those over 50 now, we're reinventing ourselves. we're reinventing ourselves from the entrepreneur side, from work side, what we do as a profession, and in our personal lives and things of that nature. But as far as what the employers have to change now, they have to understand that the normalcy is, we're not living in normal times anymore. So they're going to have to elevate how they actually create a work environment that people still want to come to and be a part of, whether they're Generation X or the baby boomers that still want to continue working, and especially the millennials and the the newer generation that have a whole different mindset of what they're willing to put up with, to tell you the truth, what they're willing to put up with, what kind of money they're going to be paid. And it's three things that they're going to be looking for: flexibility, career advancement, and great salary. That's the three things they're going to be looking for: flexibility, um, career advancement, and then great salaries.
So let me ask you this question. Do you see the workforce that we've always known it, where we get up, we go in, we're there at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, we work a full day and come home? Do you see that totally changing, or will there be some um variable to that?
There would definitely be some variables, because no matter how much technology advances us forward, and technology is just going to get more advanced, it's not going anywhere. All right, we're in the technological world. The 8 to 5 will still exist in some form. It may not exist what it looks like now in 2021. I was actually reading an article by Sharon recently, which is Society of Human Resource Management, for those who don't know what the acronym stands for. And a large change that's going to be happening, and it's already happened, but the more changes that are going to be happening up to year 2025, they say, so they're looking at like a 5-year span, 4 to 5 year span. It's like remote working from home is going to increase exponentially. And not even working from home, but working from anywhere, because technology is so advanced. I can be on an island in Fuji. In Fuji, is that where is that where I want to go? Let's see, Maui. Let's just say Maui. Everybody knows Maui, right? In Maui, at a beach in Maui, Hawaii, and it's like, and I can still be doing the work that you've contracted me for, or an employee could be wherever they are. It's like, hey, I need to carve out some hours. I need to do some work that's due today, but they don't have to necessarily be at home. So a lot of times people that was doing remote working was doing it from home, and they was kind of restricted, we need you to work from home. But technology allows us to work from anywhere,
Exactly. And
just about any corner of the world.
exactly. Recently, my husband and I went to the Dominican Republic,
There you go.
and I was just pumping out videos from there, because I said, oh, hey, I know I need to do it. So
Mhm,
I'm on vacation, beautiful scenery,
mhm.
something different. There you go. So yeah, I love that idea.
Exactly. So that's just going to increase more and more because of technology. Remote working, gig working, freelance working, that's not going anywhere. It's going to advance more and give people even more of that flexibility. I'm just saying people are going to be looking for flexibility, their career advancement, and more money. Those are the three things that people are going to be looking for.
Let me ask this question because of late
Mhm.
in customer service, I've seen customer service like dramatically drop. So
Yes.
are they picking up people off the street who need a job and putting them in customer service because nobody else wants those jobs?
Hmm.
How how does HR deal with getting the best candidates they can get
Hmm.
in order to fill those roles? Because it didn't look, I mean, it's not looking good as far as I can see.
Exactly. As far as I can see, too, Beverly, it's like HR. First of all, let me give a little backdrop of recruiting. Recruiting has been probably one of the most challenging things in human resources as a whole. I don't care what company you're in, what industry you're in. Recruiting is always one of those things where you always have to fine tune, and you always have to be on the lookout for the talent that you want in your business that's going to be in alignment with your business culture and things of that nature. But see, now it's heightened because we're in a different world now. So now people, they found out, a lot of people discovered freedom during this 2 year pandemic we've been living in. A lot of people discovered freedom, and a lot of people discovered that they were being underpaid and they were not opening their mouths.
Yes.
and negotiating their pay rate, and they didn't understand how they could, if they're a new employee, coming in and interviewing and everything, they didn't understand how they could negotiate their pay rate. They just went for whatever was given to them. And as an HR whisperer on TikTok, I actually teach people how to negotiate their salary, how to negotiate their pay rate going in and what they need to do, and don't have to just settle for, oh, I'm paying you $10 an hour when their hiring budget is 15. See, but most people don't know that because they're not on the back side of that.
So
Like
can
I've
you
been
give
for
us a
so many
little
years.
snippet of how you would do that? Just a little one. We
Yeah,
don't want to
just
take
a
it
little
all.
snippet. Just a little snippet. So let's say you're negotiating a salary. Okay. And let's do it by the hour because we were talking about customer service, and customer service jobs are usually by the hour. Okay. So if you understand in the middle of an interview, they ask you, what salary range are you looking for? What pay rate are you looking for? Everybody's heard that question before in an interview. First of all, you need to be very clear about what you bring to the table. See, it's not just the employer that's going to give her the money. You need to ask for the money based on what value you're bringing to the table. So if you understand that you're coming in with, say, 5 years of strong customer service experience in this industry, that you've had maybe some awards and things of that nature. So you have to assess what it is that you bring it to the table, and you don't have to just settle for, well, I just, hey, they giving me $15. That's what they said in the ad. I'm just going to go for that. But your skill set actually will dictate that maybe you should be making $18 or $19 an hour. So you can actually estimate your salary from a site called salary.com and payscale.com. That will actually give you an idea of what your job is worth based on the value of your experience. So usually, I was even saying in the TikTok, usually if it's an hourly pay rate, a hiring manager is going to have anywhere between a $1 to $3 window that they can hire you in. So if they say the minimum is 15 and you coming in with 3 to 5 years of experience, I would suggest that you say, hey, I'm looking to come in between $16 to $18 an hour based on this. And you give them 3 strong points of what you bring to the table. My 5 years of experience. I had the award for the best customer service, best customer service rep, in this particular industry. And this is what I bring to the table as far as my education. So you have to know what your value is that you bring it to the table, and actually communicate that. Open up your mouth and say it. And it's like, and because of the market value that I've researched on this job, see, let them know that you've looked for it. Let them know that you researched the salary range for that particular job based on the number of years of experience that you have. Then they say, oh, then the recruiter would think, the person or the hiring manager would think, oh, they've actually researched this job. They've researched what it pays in this geographical area that you're located in, and they come in with 5 years of experience. I can almost guarantee you that you'll be making more than $15 an hour.
Oh, okay.
That's a quick snippet.
Yeah, that's good information to know.
Mhm.
Now, let's talk about the experience of the HR
Mhm.
person
Mhm.
because you come in with more than 20 years.
Yes.
But then I do know personally
Mhm.
some HR people who just kind of got their jobs and because they knew somebody and they kind of
Yeah.
had a little background, a
Yeah.
little bit, and they
Yeah.
kind of just got put in that position.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to put you in a position to call out your peers, but is HR as it should be as far
Mm.
as qualified personnel to see someone like me
Mhm.
and say, "Oh yeah, I know she's the best candidate." Or because here's the thing, HR experts are getting younger. You're younger
Yes.
than me. So
Mhm.
you may have a bias against me because I am older.
Mhm.
So how does that really work?
Oh, that's a good question, Beverly. Well, first of all, let's just do a couple of scenarios. So if the HR person is not, as seasoned as I am, I'm actually almost got 30 years in it now, in HR. And they say they've been in it for a few years, they're still in a learning curve themselves. So if they're not being developed by maybe the director who, hopefully has more experience than that person that may be doing that interviewing at the time, then they will probably look at age first. Okay, can we keep the conversation real.
Yeah.
They'll look at you, it's like, okay, well, she's not old, but she's more than 40. They're just kind of estimating all this kind of stuff based on what's on the resume and everything. But they really need to understand how ageism and laws that are against you, what am I trying to say? Assessing people based on their age or what they look like and things of that nature. So they actually have
Discriminating.
discriminating. Thank you for the word. You are the word person. Thank you so much. Discriminating against you. And listen, and I've been in HR long enough, in corporate and in the entrepreneur community. I know that it happens.
Oh,
Okay,
it
I
does.
know that it happens. I've seen it too many times. I have consciously worked at not doing that, consciously. But when I was in corporate America, I saw it's like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You need to look at everybody, ask everybody the same questions. It doesn't matter. It's like, are you looking for someone experienced, or are you looking for someone that you're gonna have to spend a whole lot of time on the learning curve? So it depends on what what the position is, what level of expertise that they have. So it's really going to have to take the development of that HR person to understand uh, what employment laws dictate when it comes to ageism and just discrimination and things of that nature in hiring. So it can be a problem, especially if the person is underdeveloped. If the person is undertrained and everything in HR and they're trying to get their feet wet. Because I remember the first day I was in HR, I was green, and I had to develop that, I had to develop and train, very quickly, actually, and because I wanted to be as useful as possible in HR and not just jump the gun. Okay, how do I approach this? How do I approach that? So it really is an evolution of someone that's in there young. Now, someone who's been in there as long as I have should definitely know how to approach that better than someone that they may have just hired into their position, or may just put into their position because somebody knew somebody who knew somebody. So HR is, HR used to be, first of all, HR used to be called personnel, but HR, yeah, you know that. So HR has also was also seen as just administrative roles, right? Back in the day, personnel, administrative roles, but HR is a lot more sophisticated now. A lot more sophisticated now from a technological standpoint, and then just from expertise and experience standpoint, where we've become HR business partners, because people need to understand that HR is an integral part of a company's sustainability. So now, see, there's a different conversation and there's a different language in the last decade or so, probably the last 20 years, that's had to be cultivated to let people know it's more than just paper pushing, and it's more than just hiring, firing, and payroll in human resources. That's what human resources used to be seen a lot of, viewed from hiring, firing, and payroll. That's still part of HR, but that is not the sum total of what HR is. So it takes training, it takes continuous learning, it takes reading, it takes finding out what the employment laws are now versus what they were 5 years ago or just last year. So it really is an evolution of being developed, trained, and continuous learning. And a new person is not going to know it off the bat. They're just not. They're just
Okay,
not.
great.
Mhm.
So, according to CNN Business, in a report that was just released, more than 4 million people quit their jobs in September. Just
Mhm.
decided, you know what? I
Yeah,
don't need this
we out.
headache. I don't need this job. What's that old song by Johnny Tate? Paycheck, take this job and shove it. Okay. So that's kind of where they were in September. So now that the economy is trying to open back up again to some
Mhm.
degree,
Mhm.
and HR personnel may be inundated
Mhm.
with all these resumes and cover letters, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. I have two questions.
Okay.
Number one, how do they handle that? And number two, how many of those resumes do HR folks actually see? Because we hear that bots get them first. And if you don't have certain keywords, your resume is never going to be seen by a human. So, can you address those two things?
Yes. Well, you are correct. Especially chat bots now are very. I was enthralled in a chat box the other day. I just got out of it. It's like, no, no. I don't even know what I was doing, but I got me caught up. But yes, chat bots applicant tracking systems. Okay, ATS. Before chatbots came along, it was just ATS. Okay, without the chatbot. But ATS usually, depending on the keywords that you have in your resume, will be scrubbed. Let's use that word. Will be scrubbed by the ATS or the chatbots to qualify you or eliminate you. So those that are being eliminated by, by the machinery, more than likely is never going to be seen. Okay, it's never going to be seen by a human being because the chat box and the machinery, the ATS platform, usually scrubs that out and eliminates that. All right. Now, those that resumes that make it through the machinery, those are typically seen by a recruiter. Now, on average, is between 7 to 10 seconds that a recruiter is going to actually look at your resume. That's why it needs to be done by someone who understands how to capture the attention of a recruiter or even the attention of the ATS platform with the keywords that, okay, let's put the right keywords in there so the machinery will recognize that your resume needs to be seen. So that's typically how it is. A lot of people don't know that, but now they do. It's like that's what's happening. So the right keywords. So Frankie and Boo Boo do not need to be doing your resume. Someone, hate to say it, but your friend next door, if they're not used to doing it, if they're not a resume professional, or at least an HR professional that can identify that,
I
I
feel
would
like you
suggest.
called me out because I was a boo boo. I did some people's.
I mean, let's keep it real, right? Right here on the Boomer Beat. So it's like, but I always suggest people who are really going after, who are really pursuing their job and their career, seriously. It's like, okay, now maybe you had, Frankie and Boo Boo do it earlier, but now, that the competition is higher. It's like you need to position yourself to be recognized. So you have to invest. Okay, invest. That means you're going to have to come up with a little money to get your resume to the point where, oh, okay, the machine recognized me. Oh, and the recruiter took that 7 to 10 seconds to look and say, okay, yeah, we're going to pull Beverly Mahomes because we see what she's working with over here. We're going to pull this, we're going to pull that, and we're going to pull them in for an interview. So that's really what you want. Now, what was the other part of that question? I know I talked about the ATS, but it got so good to me. It's like, what was the other part of the question?
Well, you answered it because what I was
Okay, good.
asking about was the number of people who were out there fluctuating
Yes.
the market,
Yes.
the bots that kind of track,
Mhm.
and how
Mhm.
how many of those resumes does HR actually see?
And I know HR for a fact that those who are still in the corporate sector are in your data. I'm part of an HR group, and I kind of go in there and see, what kind of headaches they've had for the last 2 years, and what kind of stress that has been on them, and it has been tremendous. Tremendous. I'm kind of glad I'm not in corporate America anymore, but it has been tremendous in the things that they've had to deal with because of the changes of how to treat, COVID-19 and the sickness and the vaccine and all this kind of stuff. So so many things that they've had to deal with. So uh, the recruiting has just is more than it has ever been because there are so many people out there applying for jobs because so many people have walked out looking for better opportunities, looking for their flexibility, looking for their career advancement, looking for that employer is going to treat them like a human versus just a number or a workhorse. Okay, listen to that. Or a workhorse. So it's like that is not what people are looking for. It's like, yes, people have had hard times, and there's been plenty of people that got rich during this time too. And have had a better life than they've ever had in the last 2 years. So there's people on all levels of the spectrum, from one end to the other of the spectrum. So it's like there's so many people out there. It's like, what, they got a taste of something that they had not had before, the flexibility. Then people reprioritize their families. They reprioritize what was important to them in their life,
Mhm.
personal and professional life. And then they say, okay, now I need to be in a role or in a career or in an opportunity that actually aligns with where I desire to be and how I desire to live my life now. That's what's happening.
Okay, well, in the few minutes that we do have left, I want you to talk about your book, HR is Sexy, because I'm like, is it really? Why would she choose that title? Okay, I need to know.
HR is sexy. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Now
Okay.
let me read the subtitles to that too, to bring some
Okay.
context to
I
that.
just
Okay.
saw the HR is sexy. That's
Yes,
what I liked.
context to that. So HR is sexy, the truth about human resources and why it's necessary for your business. So that is the subtitle to it. But in a nutshell, HR is sexy. And the people are like, HR is sexy, Delmar. Are you sure that's what you want it to be? I'm like, well, that is the title that divinely was dropped in me. So HR is sexy is about actually having the confidence, building your confidence in how you're running your business. It's like when you know that you have the right processes in place, the right systems, the right people in place, then that makes that atmosphere sexy because there's a different kind of energy and a different kind of culture in your business when you're not raggedy, when you're not all over the place, when you have, you still have all this paper driven stuff, you have no organization, going on in your business. A lot of times this book was actually written for the small business owners specifically, because they are the ones that's building up to, the giants. They already got their stuff in place. Okay, so that book was written specifically for the small business owner who don't necessarily want to be involved with HR, but they know it needs to be part of their business, but they don't know exactly how to get started. That's what HR is Sexy is about, this particular book. So it's sexy because you've taken the time to invest in putting your processes in place, developing your people, or even hiring the right people into your business, and then also having those systems that's going to be helping you create a foundation and sustainability for your business. So when you have sustainability, what do you have? You have greater retention and you have more revenue, which leads to more profits. That's really why HR is sexy, in getting those
Okay.
things in place. So
Okay.
yeah,
I
let me
love
put
it.
some context around that. See, but thing is, HR is sexy catches your attention. Then when you have the conversation, when you read, the description on the back of the book, it gives you an idea. Okay, that's why HR is sexy, because it's in place. I have those processes in place. I have those policies in place. I have my people, that I need in my business and aligns with my business culture and the systems that create sustainability,
And I might
retention,
also
revenue, and more profits.
Right. And I might also add that this is a good book for those of us who are entrepreneurs,
Yes.
solopreneurs,
Mhm.
because at some point when your business grows, you are going to be looking for people. So you need
Definitely.
to know what steps you need to take in order to make sure you've got the right people on board. So
Most definitely.
HR is sexy. I love the title.
Yes.
And Delmar, your website is delmarjohnson.com, correct?
Yes, delmarjohnson.com. And you can get my book there too on my website. I got everything on my website. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So delmarjohnson.com. Go get that book, HR is Sexy, and then let me know what you thought about it. Is it as sexy as she says it is? All right. On that note, I am going to have to say thank you. Time has run out, but we could certainly go another 30, 40 minutes. It's been some really good conversation
Thank you so much.
about where we're going with
Yeah.
employment as we
Yeah.
move in further into the 21st century. So,
Yes.
any closing thoughts, Delmar?
It's like employers out there, big and small, you're gonna have to be flexible. You're gonna have to realign where your business culture is in order to continue attracting the people that have the skill set that you need. Keep your mind open to the changes that have happened. We're not going back to normal.
Okay, she's spoken. I have nothing else to say other than thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of the Boomer Beat. And remember to stay empowered along your journey. See ya.
Good news you can use whenever home, yeah. She got the good news you can use. Good news you can use for your life. So listen up, everybody. Listen up, everybody. She got the